Harumi, is it fair to speculate about a potential authorities intervening again in the Japanese FX markets, given this huge move that we're seeing in the past few minutes?
Yeah, it's highly likely the government and BOJ intervene in such a big movement. It's not usual market movement. So, and also it's similar to the night in Friday here. The current level is the yen is obviously undervalued, and the government and by BOJ think such a high rapid movement or one way yen depletion is not good for the Japanese economy, and so this movement probably related to what the government is considered.
We're seeing a huge spike in volatility in yen futures as well. Harumi, what does this mean for FX policy going forward, because we do have the BOJ policy decision this week, and we're not expecting those rate differentials to narrow at all, given that the BOJ is really not budging when it comes to its ultra-loose monetary policy.
Right. We don't expect the Bank of Japan will change its current monetary policy since the economy is not still fully recovered yet. The demand is weak, and 5 months consecutively, the monthly cash earnings decline in real time. It means it's where suppressed consumer spending could be weakened for the demand, which in turn to the weaker consumer spending. That's why the Bank of Japan still think this is too early to change its monetary policy. So we don't expect this it's going to be. However, this as the government and the Bank of Japan repeatedly say, there's a rapid one-way depreciation is harm for the economy, since the company cannot transfer its cost to the output prices, and that will be harm for the especially the medium and small size industries.
We're seeing some potential weakness when it comes to some of the big companies, right? Are we seeing that divergence between a recovery in services with the opening of borders and potentially some of the manufacturers?
Yeah. Right now, this economy, the consumer spending has started to improve from the last spark of the pandemic. The government has started the new travel subsidies, and also they fully opened the borders, which encouraged the foreign tourists to come to Japan, since the yen is weak more than 30% compared with the pre-pandemic level. So this factor could be able to lift the consumer spending for the fourth quarter. However, as I mentioned, the real-term income is declining for the last 5 months. It's hard for the weak household and also pensioners. So that would be the obstacle for the near-term the economy. Also, big economy, big company is tolerated for such weak yen. But even so, even the exporters, it's hard to transfer its cost if it's such rapid yen weakness continues. That would be a big obstacle for the Japanese company, or for big companies as well.
When it comes to the labour market, which is obviously the momentum behind that is expected to drive some level of wage growth that the BOJ really wants to see. That hasn't really been impacted, the demand for labour that is, by even record COVID cases. So are you optimistic that this trend continues?
Yes, fundamentally, Japan's the labor shortage is underlined, and its economy is in service areas that started to pick up. Means as the labor market is still is in favor for the laborers. And it's recently the union decided to ask 5% increase for the next annual wage negotiations. So it's just a good mood for the for the Bank of Japan, supporting the Bank of Japan is considering, but they still need to wait. The impact of the weekend is possible to obviously it's lower the companies the profit and also the headwind is also the external factors as the Japanese trade partners is facing a slower economy. If the company considers this could be not able to increase the wage when they started the negotiation.
Harumi, just before we go, I wanted to get the question of overall, what do you think the one change Japan needs right now?
Yes, it's Japanese big challenges is for the structure change. It's to increase the productivity, and that will be able to sustain the wage increase. And also the energy mix, since there's currently a huge trade deficit because of the Japan's large dependency of the imported the fuel energies. So it's the energy mix is also needed to consider to change as much as possible.